LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
Hello and happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for tuning in to WRLR 98.3 FM. Wow, the mic's a little high. How's that? Is that a little bit better? That's a little bit better? Good. So you are tuned in to Bacon Bits Master Happiness. I'm your host, Marty Jalove, and I come at you every single Monday night at 7 o'clock. I come to talk to you about your job, your career, your vision made clear, the skills that you hone for the business that you own, the ups and downs, the smiles and frowns, where you're at and where you're bound. And I am on a quest to bring you the absolute best. And today I have a very, very special guest. In fact, I say this every week, I have a special guest, but today I have an extremely special guest. This is someone I'm very fond of. Since the moment I met her, she made me fall deep in love with her, head over heels. And she is not only my wife, she is my confidant, my friend, my buddy. She is just a little bit of everything. She is just a doll. She's the one who keeps me harnessed and also lets me go. So I'm proud to introduce Christy Jalove here. And Christy, I'm going to let you introduce yourself in a moment. I just want to first tell the audience what we're going to be talking about today is the difference between salaried employees versus self-employed or even a side hustle, that type of thing. We're going to be talking a little bit about that, and you'll learn the history about the positions we've been in and the positions we're in now and how we just kind of switched around and how well we work together. And I could not do half of the things I do without someone as special as her on my side. So without further ado, Christy, I would love for you to introduce yourself to the world. This is Christy Jalove World.
Hello. I am very happy to be here. I don't know if I'm very good in your frame, but I'm really happy that you asked me to come and talk a little bit about doing something that I've done both sides of.
Yes.
Freelance, self-employed, and having a salaried position. And so right now I actually am on a salary position as a graphic. Yes. I have a degree in graphic design and have done that for almost 30 years. And I am a senior graphic designer in a corporate position in a marketing department in a corporation. But I also own a freelance design firm and have for about 20 years.
And it is called
Meg and Me Design. And that actually people always wonder if my name is Meg, but I'm the me in that. That stemmed from the very start of a business that I began when my first daughter, Megan, was an infant, and I was doing it. And I basically started the business as an accessories for kids business on the side. And I thought, well, I'm really doing this for her and me. And it was a great brand to build.
Sure.
So that's where Meg and Me came from. But it has now evolved into many facets.
I think it's neat because Meg and Me Design, like you said, started out with accessories, and then you got more into the actual graphic design, which you're very good at, specializing in a lot of print work, and now it's slowly going back to a little bit more of the crafty type of thing.
Yeah, well, I was a graphic designer, had a full-time salary job.
Sure.
And I started fiddling at home with hair accessories for my daughter. And I started doing it so much that I said, I either need to stop this or I need to start selling it because this is becoming too much. So I said, I'll start a business and I'll do that. And I quickly learned that it was nowhere near an income that could support me. And I decided that doing freelance graphic design work, which is where my professional life is always was really where it was. So for the last 20 years, it's really been a graphic design firm. So.
Gotcha. Right. So
and now, yes, it is swinging back into a craft side hustle.
But I think it's neat. This is one of the things that this is why it's such a great topic for the two of us, because both of us are, for lack of a better term, crafty. We like to do things with our hands. We like to get our hands dirty. We like to build things. See a finished product, a physical piece, but we also like working on computers. We like creating imagery on a computer, the two-dimensional world, as well as the three-dimensional world. We like doing our own thing on pen and paper. Okay. Whereas you lean a lot more towards fonts and typography and calligraphy, as I lean towards cartooning.
Yes.
You know, when we look at the types of things we do as graphic designers, you're definitely more of the, I'm going to call it sophisticated and more corporate look, whereas
Right.
I'm more of the, hey, I'm in your face look. All right.
Well, yeah, I think everybody has a style, but I definitely learned very quickly when I was getting my BFA in design that it was definitely I was a commercial artist.
Yes.
I was not someone that was just going to create fine art and I was going to say this is what I'm creating and like it or not, this is what I do.
Right.
I really was more interested in the communication aspect. So really that's what my drive is, that I love that you can increase and enhance how someone understands something by the way that it looks. It's
Yes.
that my job, no matter what kind of job I'm doing, is not to just make something look pretty. It's about communicating. So
Correct.
I have my greatest adventures in jobs that I've loved have been where there have been really designing tools, I would say, graphic tools, not
Okay.
functional tools like you love, not 3D things, but tools for assessing medical needs or assessing something, a tool where you're using a paper designed chart
Okay.
or something like that, that it doesn't work if you don't design it correctly
Correct.
and you don't have the
That goes
communication
right.
is huge. And so when you even lay people that aren't in design look at something, they can say, "Oh, I like this better than this," and you can ask them
Certainly.
why, and it usually is because I can understand this. It gets a message across,
Right.
and
Right.
there's usually a lot of things that go into that that are not chosen for no reason. They're
Correct.
very purposeful.
Yes, I like that. I like that. And so now I'm immediately realizing, oh, you know what? We could do a whole show just about like graphic design and the communication aspect of that. Because
Yeah.
as we're talking more, it's really cool that
Marketing.
the marketing, advertising, everything that's involved in that. So that could be a whole separate show. So although I don't normally mind going off on tangents, I do want to talk a little bit more about this very specific subject because this one means a lot to me. My entire life, I've had that entrepreneurial spirit and always started these little, what I thought were real legitimate businesses, but they were really nothing more than side hustles. They were something I was doing to bring in some extra money, an idea, a thought of turning it into an empire, into a bigger business. And those kind of little businesses came and went, and as quickly as my fascination with that product line or that service. So I went back into just the corporate world and just worked there, doing everything I wanted, expanding, and just lucky for me, I was able to find a lot of companies that said, "Hey, we like your spirit, we like your creativity, we like your courage into trying new things." So I was let loose, and became very successful in the things that I did, till the point that I said, "You know what? I want to really give this a shot and start my own business." And there is such a dramatic difference from a salaried position to a side hustle to a self-employed. And it is not for the weak at heart.
No.
So,
and it's funny that you say that because I would say I was the opposite. So I remember taking a class in college where they taught us how to start our own design business. And we had to write a business plan. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do any of this.
Yeah.
Because instantly they told us all of the other things that you're going to have to do. And we're going to talk and reference design and marketing a lot, unfortunately, just
certainly,
but that's because our world. But in anything, if you're going to do your own business, you're going to do a lot of other things that you don't like and you're not good at.
Right. Yeah.
And I never wanted to do that. So that's not the route that I went. And then I went into starting my own business really kind of like I didn't plan it. Like you really made a significant decision. I really wanted to do this.
Yes.
Like this was I kind of started and went, wow, I could do this on the side and I didn't even realize it. And this could allow me to do also things like being a parent and, having, that was, but I didn't choose it necessarily at the beginning.
Right. So I'm going to say right in the beginning, and I think you're going to agree with me, is that anyone who's going to start their own business, anyone who's going to say, I'm going to take this idea, I've got this talent, my dream, and try to turn it into a monetary entity. Anyone who does that has got to be able to say, but I've got this other income. All right. I've got something that's keeping me afloat. And luckily for us, what has happened is during my time of building my business, I have had this wonderful person saying, okay, go for it. Let's see what we can do with this. I trust you and I have faith in you. And she's held everything together.
And I'll take a salaried position.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yes.
Right. And so when we first met, and this is why I want to get through this whole why we're qualified to talk about this, is kind of when we first met is you were working as a freelancer, but you had one really big customer, but
I had a big contract job. So it was almost like working
but
full time for them, but I wasn't. It was my own, I was self-employed.
Sure.
Yes.
And I was at the time, I was employed by a different company. And then slowly while we were together, the tables kind of turned a little bit. And I started my own business around the same time, there was a kind of an overlap of you saying, okay, now what you're doing is taking on a full-time position at a company. And so there are so many things we're going to touch on what the importance is. So the main thing that I want to get across is making sure you're financially set with this, whether it's you're from a 2-income home, whether the idea you've got is just a side hustle, you're just doing it on the side, or maybe you won the lottery. I don't know, but make sure that you can afford to do this, because as soon as you allow the financial end to be the burden on you, what will happen is the stress will eat you alive. Okay. If you can even make it. But sometimes if you might be able to just make it, but the stress is too hard. But more often than not, if you don't have enough finances behind you, supporting you like that, you're just never going to make it. Not at all. So with that, what we end up doing with every show is we apply a little bacon to it. All right. Because we know everything that bacon touches makes it just a little bit better. And of course, we're not talking about the bacon for chewing.
It's the bacon for doing.
There you go. I love it when a guest knows the line. Okay. So that's why the show is called Bacon Bits. And so the Bacon Bits, the BACON, the acronym that we're going to use is kind of a loose outline for what we're going to be talking about. And this one, even less of a loose outline, because I want to talk about more of a comparison, but I want to talk about these are 5 areas that if you are contemplating making a switch, whether it's I run my own business and I'm contemplating shutting it down and going to get a full-time job, or if I've got a full-time job or a side hustle and I'm looking to move into a full-time business, contemplate these 5 things. And we'll talk on these. The BACON is this: balance, where you're talking about your work-life balance. A is assess your financial goals. C is consider your long-term career goals, what you want, what you're looking for. O is look at the opportunities. In other words, what are your talents? What are your abilities? What are your opportunities to make this happen? Who do you know? Who do you not know? And then finally, N is to network. And that is touching upon all these people that you may know or are easy to meet, because those are the people who are going to give you some great ideas and assist you in this next part of your journey. Okay. And I know you were afraid I was going to say nurture something there with
No, I was going to say, wow, I have little things. I thought of all of those things.
Okay,
so
perfect.
Yeah, you can either just like, these are all the bacons, and then we're going to, but yeah. No,
okay. So what I wanted to do first, Christy, is this is just so you know, you're on camera. So,
I'm barely on camera,
yeah,
but
well, you could scoot over a little. That's good too. Yeah. So one way or the other. All right. So anyway, what I wanted to do is kind of do an overview of a salary employment. All right. What the pros and the cons are there, because let me ask you, what do you think? What would you list as some of the pros of having a regular salaried job as opposed to being self-employed?
A regular paycheck.
Yeah. Bing, 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 and winner.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how many times people have said to me like, oh, freelancer. And in my career field, freelance is very common. I know a lot of people who have gone back and forth on being freelance graphic designers versus working in corporate. And yes, I'd say the top difference and benefit is a regular paycheck. When you are starting out on your own, even if you have, and hopefully you have some clients, whatever they might be in whatever field it is, hopefully you have some clients that are the reason you're starting and you think that you can. You have some big
Right.
wholesale person that wants to buy from you, or you have some big contract or something. But you've got to have diverse too. You can't have you can't have one person that you're going to
No.
work for.
As soon as you have that one person you're working for, it is then suddenly like you're
Right.
like it's a salaried position.
Yes. And so yeah, that's the biggest.
Is the regular salary coming in. I agree with you. The next I would say is the idea of career progression. Sometimes when you're working for a
Yes.
company, there are things you can shoot for to say, well, I would like to become a manager. I would like to move up a level. I would like to diversify and try something else within the company. And there's usually a little bit more freedom as opposed to when you own your own company. You can't go, I've decided I'm no longer going to be the producer. I'm going to be the accountant today. Granted, you're going to have to be anyway, but you can't just move over and do something different. Especially when you're starting a business, you're doing everything.
Right. No,
So-
and on that, I would say the other really big positive is that you can do what you want to do. You probably have a job description
Yes.
that fits. I'm going to do these things. These are my responsibilities. And
Right.
it probably isn't doing, if you're a graphic designer, it's probably not doing invoicing.
Yes.
But
That's
it sure as heck is on your list if
Yeah.
you are
You run your own
self-employed and it's
business,
your running
right.
your own business. So the other positive is that you get to do only the things that you're good at and that you excel at and you
Right.
want to do.
Exactly.
There isn't all the other things. You probably, there's all of those managerial type things or just administrative things, not but administrative things.
Uh-huh.
There isn't someone else doing them for you
Right.
when you are, even if you have a couple employees or your small business is very small. You're probably going to be doing things that is not your core
Right. So I
niche.
do like that. I like that a lot is that when you are a salaried position, you are going after a job that you really love, which I got to remind everyone, if you're going after a job, don't just chase the money. Okay. Instead, chase the position that's going to bring you joy. All right. Money will come later and there'll be a point in time where, a few extra dollars is not going to make you any happier. So what you want to do is you have the ability as a salaried employee to do something that you really, really enjoy. And it's terrible when I hear about these people who they don't want to start their own business. They just take a job and they go, I hate my job. I would just tell them, then go find something else to do. So
Right.
it's very important. That is a true benefit of working for another place. Is
Right.
You get you get the blinders on. This is the thing I'm doing, the thing that I love to do, the thing I went to school for, the thing I have a talent for, the thing
Right.
I just enjoy doing.
And
Okay.
I'd say,
Yeah.
in your business, the amount of small business owners that you coach,
yeah.
that's a huge part of what they get bogged down in.
Yes.
Is that they're bogged down in the things that it's not their thing. That whatever
Right,
it is,
right.
if it's installing refrigerators or doing marketing, it doesn't matter. That's what you want to do. You don't want to do the invoicing
Yep.
and the vendor management and things that whatever. You
Yes.
might find that you like some of those things. So we're talking a lot of negatives here, but
No, this is about the
but
advantages
it's
of salary.
about
Right.
not having to wear all the hats. I
Right.
always would
Yeah.
say it's all on you.
Right. And so with that, the other advantage I want to touch on here is that usually when you're a salary employee, you are part of a team. You have
Yes,
other
that's-
people. And so I'll tell you, in the beginning, when you start your own business and you're on your own and you're hustling, you suddenly realize there's no one else there. There's nobody hanging out at the water cooler wanting to tell you about the game,
Mhm.
And so if the camaraderie means a lot to you, then this is another reason for you. You might say, I'm better off being, grabbing a salaried position.
I know a lot of people who would say that that's the reason that they go off on their own because they want to do it their way. They
Yes.
want to build their business. They have I have a client and friend who I know that she started her business because she wanted to do it her way. And
Right.
and that I'm saying that in a positive way. She wanted things to be completely sourced by her. Like she knew where they were coming from, that they were, she's a natural company. So like
Yes.
everything is natural, organic. I'm choosing how I present myself and how I spend my time. And the only way I can do that is that I am the owner of the company and I
Right,
make the
right.
decisions. But with that comes the fact that you don't have anybody else
Yeah.
to pass off any of these tasks
Well,
to,
so this,
and you don't have
yeah,
anybody to collaborate with. But there's ways to get around that.
Right,
I mean,
right.
like all these things that we're saying, like are positive, negative. I think that there are ways to counterbalance it.
Sure,
But
sure.
mhm,
So this is good because this has been mostly like the advantages of having a salaried position,
mhm,
and then you're touching on now some of the disadvantages of a salaried position, which I'm also going to talk about the limitations sometimes.
mhm.
Because you have a boss you're answering to who
Correct.
says this
Mhm.
is it. You're not doing anything more. This is what you're going to do, and you're like, oh, but I really think it'd be cool if we tried this.
I think that's probably one of the top reasons that people start their own business,
Yeah.
because they get enough experience and they become an expert in that area,
Right.
and they realize that there's other ways to do this.
Yes.
And I feel like I can lead a better way, a better path for myself or maybe others or maybe my
Sure.
clients, or whatever. I'm going to make this better. I'm going to present this better, whatever your business is that you do that. So having that experience
Yes.
though is critical.
Yes. And I think one of the scariest things is I have seen it is truly not knowing what you don't know. Because there are plenty of people who work for someone else and go, "Oh my God, I could do this on my own.
Right,
I'm going to
right.
start my own business doing exactly this." And then
Uh-huh.
they realize, "Ooh, I didn't know this. I didn't
Yep.
know this. I didn't
Yep.
know this."
Mhm.
It's because we had other people doing those things. You were doing this, and you are not going to start an entire company doing all kinds of stuff just doing that.
Right.
And so that's one of the things is that, again, if you in a salaried position and you're working somewhere and you're like, I could do this, I'm going to start my own business, really dig into it and even talk to your current employer and saying, I'm going to be honest with you. I want to explore the ideas of maybe doing something like this on my own eventually. And if you have a good employer, if you're working with someone, they're going to work with you because if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, they're going to want to take advantage of that and build a better business. And they're going to try to come up with reasons for you to stay. To say, all right, well, what kind of growth would you want? What types of challenges would you want? If you have a company like that you're working for, their job is to make it harder for you to leave because they're going to
Yes.
offer you those things that you want, all right, and use your expertise, all right. And so it's really important to learn as much as you can about all the background. If you're contemplating starting your own business based on what you do right now, I encourage you to talk to the supervisors, the managers of other departments, and learn all the aspects of the company. Because I could write a whole book about how not to start a new company,
Right.
right? Because it's amazing how you're like, all right, I think I got it. Oh, I didn't know I had to do this. All right, I think I got it. Oh, I didn't know I had to do this. And it goes on and on and on. And so it's really important to learn a lot more of these things early on. It's really important that N in bacon is to network and talk to people who are experts in other things, talk to people who are experts in the field that you want to start your business in. Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
All right. And so the other thing, the last one I wanted to say, a disadvantage of a salaried employee is the other part of the flexibility of going, you own your own business. I can say, all right, I'm going to postpone this. I'll do this at midnight. I'll work on this,
Yes.
or I'll work on Saturday and Sunday to get this done because I want to go to the ball game or I want to go fishing or go fishing at the ball game on Tuesday. So I'm going to take Tuesday off. Usually I can do this because my focus is on the success of the business. So I know what I can give up, what I can do, and what I can't do. But you work for someone else, they're going to be like, no, you have to schedule that day off. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a big difference.
I would say that probably is the top reason that or the top positive that out of working freelance for the number of years that I did
Yes.
was the flexibility aspect and the crazy amount of things that I was able to accomplish while still earning a salary to
Yeah.
actually, and it was probably most during the time that I was a single parent. I was able to do that and still spend time with my kids and be there for anything that I wanted because I built the schedule. Now, that meant that I worked 24/7.
Right.
Like I literally started working at 10 p.m. There was like a block of maybe 6 years that I started working at 10 p.m. after
Yeah.
everything was done and the kids were asleep.
Sure.
I started working at 10 p.m. and frequently my clients were getting emails at 3 a.m. because I worked from 10 to 3, and then in the day, then I would work like my regular job, and then I was doing freelance at night. And so that was just the best that you
Right.
could do. And
Yeah.
it was great because I had that flexibility, but it did mean that it was crazy. And
Right.
but then again, I could say, "Oh, I don't have any availability on Thursday," and it was because I was going to the zoo with my kids.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could do that, but I'd say the flexibility is back and forth
Right.
because you also are the end of the line.
Yes.
And I think that probably for me was one of the top negatives is it's great to be the end of the line and you get to make the
Yep.
decisions, but it also means when something goes wrong, you there's no one else there.
Right. Right.
There's no one else to go, "You've got to solve this. I'm leaving. I got to go home and pick up my kids." Like
Yeah.
it was only you.
I think that's where we're getting to the idea of you run your own business. It's not for the faint of heart. This is you.
No.
You have to say, the buck does stop here. I have no one else to blame.
Yes.
And I do agree. You have the greatest amount of flexibility when you run your business, but you also have probably the greatest chance of the largest amount of earnings. You can make the most amount of money. You have a chance. It doesn't mean I go, "Hey, I started a business. Look at me. I'm a billionaire." No, that doesn't mean it. You work harder. You make a lot of mistakes and you're the end of the line.
And you can never say no.
Yes.
Exactly.
You can go, "Yeah, I don't want to do that today. I don't want to pay my taxes."
The more things you pass up and the things you say no to, the next time they're not going to come. They're going to find someone to do that or fulfill that need. And if you say no, they're going to go find someone else and that person does it. There's no reason to come back to you another time.
Correct.
And I think that's also really heavy because I can remember very distinctly a time that I was on an elevator in a hospital where my mom was facing cancer treatment and I was getting calls from clients.
Yeah.
And I literally was in tears because I was like, I don't have anyone else to tell them I can't do this.
Right.
And if I say, "I'm sorry, this is more important," like I can't do this for you right now, I will lose that entire line of business.
Right.
Because they have to go somewhere else. It wasn't they're mean or they're awful and you can say, "Oh,
no.
clients should understand," but it's all business.
Well, and
so,
I'm going to touch on that because you said, the idea is it's easy to say, well, they'll understand because this is an important thing to me, but they're running a business just like you are.
Yes.
And and you have to realize that sometimes, especially when you're a solopreneur, when you are all alone and you have no one to hand it off to, when an emergency in your life happens, you have to realize that then your business shuts down.
Yes.
And those clients you're talking about, then they suddenly realize, oh, this is not a benefit working with a solopreneur.
Right.
Maybe I should be working with somebody that has multiple employees so this doesn't happen again.
And you've had many guests that have touched on this.
Certainly.
Actually, all like in different ways. The finances, making sure you have finances to start this business. That was a whole important show. You about the idea of having a network to, even if you are a solopreneur, you need to have a web in place to catch you, like the safety net. That is critical. And just going into it with your eyes open. And I think you've had several guests that have supported that idea.
I do want to do one more advantage because I don't want to just hit all the disadvantages because the advantage of self-employed, aside from you do have more flexibility, you have the potential for a greater earnings. The other thing is that you are in control of your customer base. You are in control of the work you choose to do. And so early on, I had a client that did not match my values. And it was early on and it was good money. And I was establishing myself and it was a difficult choice for me, but I had to say, I'm not going to work with this person. We have to end this relationship because I'm not doing it just for the money. I'm doing it because I love doing this. I didn't like working with that client. And that's a tough thing to do, but it makes me feel better about my business because I teach all of my clients, you've got to start with your values first. What do you stand for? How do you want to be envisioned? And I work with my clients. I tell them you have to do the same thing. And if you are working with somebody, whether you hire them or it's a customer who violates your values, who does not align with you, you're better off not working with them, because what you're doing is you're the first one to break your own rules. So it's not worth it. Now, Christy, we're going to come right back. But first, what I'd like to do is just send a little thank you to the people who support our station so much. So please hold on.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
Hi, this is Ronald Curtis Grace, host of the Ear Candy Emporium show right here on WRLR 98.3 The Life. Join us every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time. We'll share some great music, have a laugh or two, and get your weekend started on the right note. That's the Ear Candy Emporium show, the home of sweet musical treats. Every Friday afternoon from 4 to 6, right here on 98.3 The Life, and streaming live on WRLR.FM. See you then.
Hey, cats and kittens. Join me, Gray Dolan, Sunday mornings at 11 for Mood Swings with Gray Dolan. Each week we'll visit a different genre, style, and mood of music here on The Life 98.3.
This is Alan Arkin. I won an Oscar in 2006 for Little Miss Sunshine, and I was nominated 3 other times during my illustrious career. Nevertheless, my greatest accomplishment in life has been listening to Movies, Movie Music, and Me, Thursdays at 1 o'clock with Chris Cooling, right here on WRLR 98.3 The Life. Even though I died, I still find a way to listen, and you should listen too. Celebrity voice impersonated.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.
And we are back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. I have a very special guest today. You're tuned into Bacon Bits with Master Happiness. We're talking about your career, the idea, the difference between, do you want a salaried career or do you want to be self-employed? Do you want to take that side hustle you've got and turn it into something special? Or maybe you just want to keep it a side hustle. So today we're taking this a little bit deeper. I have a regular series of guests that we'll be talking about next week. Actually, it'll be part 6, I believe, of a 10-part series on turning your side hustle to success. But today we're talking very special and very specific about this idea. Are you cut out for being self-employed? Are you cut out for even having a side hustle, or are you better off and happier with just a salaried position? And my darling guest today is my own sweet wife, my partner forever, the greatest support group, the cheerleader of my life, Christy Jalove. So we've been talking a little bit about the pros and cons of a salaried position, the pros and cons of a being self-employed. And so I just wanted to touch on a couple of other things here, Christy, on the disadvantages of being self-employed. And the first one, I should turn on your mic there.
Oh, sure.
There
Thanks.
you go. I never have that kind of power at home. So the first disadvantage of being self-employed is benefits.
Oh gosh. Well,
So
yes.
yes.
Mhm.
So there's no health benefits. There is no vacation days. There's no paid time off.
Yes.
There's things like that. And these are things that it's kind of funny that when you're in a salaried position, you just expect them. And they become something that is, like I said, expected and assumed. And you just kind of put them on the back burner. You start your own business and you're like, well, I want to take that day off. Who do I submit this form to?
Mhm.
Oh, there is nobody because it's me. So that's one of the big things, the lack of benefits. All right. The other thing I would say is that there is that higher risk of finding clients. Okay. Like
Right.
you were talking about before, is that it's all up to you. So no matter what the job is, let's say I want to be a locksmith, I want to open cars, I have to find employees. Let's say I'm a graphic designer and I want to do advertising for small businesses, I have to find clients. Let's say I think I'm a great cook and I'm going to open a restaurant, I need to find clients. So just finding clients, doing the promotion, the marketing, the advertising to pull those people in, it's all on you. That's before we even get to the bookkeeping, the legal end of it, the accounting, the insurance, all types of stuff.
And I think that for the majority of people who are not in the field that we are,
Yes.
so we're obviously service-based industries, so
Yes.
we're talking a little bit more about that. But and then in marketing, I think the place that people are the weakest outside of our field
I know
is
where
the
you-
marketing.
certainly.
Yes.
Yes.
that is the only place where marketing small business, self-employed, we shine because, but no, you're right. And also you have to think about the sustainability of the clients that you
Yes.
have,
Right.
because especially if it's a service-based industry and you have someone that is, willing to work with you right now, is that forever?
Right.
And like
No.
I
Yeah.
said
You never
before,
know.
you can't have all of your eggs in one basket. I
Correct.
worked one time for someone where we had probably 75% of our billing in one client. And it is a kind of a rule of thumb that you don't want to do that.
Right.
And that actually did play out badly in that situation.
Sure. Sure.
You never know. You cannot guarantee any if you're in a service-based business, you can't guarantee any of those things are going to
Right.
continue.
Right. So you said 70% they were part of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Something
good
like that.
estimate.
Okay.
It was high. Yeah.
Right. I
And
mean, I worked for a company. We had one customer that represented 10%. And I'll tell you,
right.
it's as you're trying to grow and you lose that customer, that you suddenly drop 10%.
Yes.
It's just like, bam, that hits really hard. So when you're working like what you were saying,
Well,
and it's somebody who's involved in 70%.
it
Yeah.
eventually caused
Yeah.
a complete implosion, demise
Right.
of that. Yeah. So yeah, you can't, and it isn't like, oh, you can predict that this is going to happen or something because of a fault of yours. It can be for so many reasons that are out of your control that you just basically have to plan on the fact that you always have to be looking for new clients or looking for
Constantly.
new
Right. Right.
avenues. It might not be growth. It might just be sustaining where you are.
Yes.
And
But in reality, if you're sustaining, you're going backwards.
right. No, I didn't have a business
right.
coach like you, Marty. So you would have found a lot of faults in my
Oh.
along the way of what I was doing, because it's a designer playing an
Yes.
accountant and a business person.
Yeah.
It's like
Right. Right.
not really a
Yeah.
good scene.
Well, I had another show, or at least we've talked about it, and it's one of the blog posts I write about the five best friends of a small business.
Mm-hmm.
And the five best friends are going to be an accountant. You definitely need an accountant,
right.
Okay, because you don't want to do this on your own, because you don't know what you if you're just opening your own business, trust me, you don't know anything about the tax code. Okay, so give it up to them. So you need an accountant, you need an insurance person, okay, which is another one of those things that you suddenly get hit with, and you're like, oh, I really have to pay insurance for
that
this.
was rough. Mm-hmm.
Right. Then you also need a banker, because
Mm-hmm.
a banker is very important for you as you're kind of growing, you're growing your business. You might say, I need to take out a loan, so you need to have a really good connection there.
Mm-hmm.
And can you name? You think you can name the other two?
The lawyer.
Very good. I was just checking to see.
Well,
I am
right.
your
top fan.
Exactly.
So I probably.
All right. Good. So yes, you definitely need the lawyer, because there are. You just need to know, hey, am I going down the right path? Should I be doing it this way? Should I be doing just someone to bounce those questions off? And then the fifth one, of course, is a business coach. All right. And the coach is really important. That's the role I chose, because what ends up happening is they will all tell you the right thing to do, the legal thing to do, the fiscal thing to do, versus a coach is going to tell you how you can actually grow your business. They're going to help you with their sales and marketing, where the other ones are all there to kind of protect you and invest in you to grow. So there's a difference there. So those are the five that you need to take a close look at. And just knowing that, just thinking about that, you are never really a solopreneur.
Right.
You've got these other
Mhm.
five people
And
helping you.
like I've said, I think that you need to have business people. Like, say you
Yeah.
are a freelance accountant. It wouldn't hurt if you have friends that are other just acquaintances. They don't have to be friends, I guess,
Yeah.
that are also freelance accountants, because that time when you have some personal tragedy or something,
Yep.
and you might need to hire them as a freelancer to cover your work.
Just, hey, can you help me out with this one thing? Yeah,
right.
it's
Or
completely.
just, hey, I think that's another, for me, in a creative field, a negative of working by yourself is that you don't have that team approach.
Correct.
But not all businesses need brainstorming and teamwork. I do think that it's benefit for everybody, but having those types of people around you, and you've spoken many times on how you even as a business coach, or you advocate, people have networking groups or,
Yes.
accountability groups that they can use that as also ways to support them if they're self-employed.
Yeah, you need to surround yourself with people. I like that. I'm glad you brought that up. You not only need to surround yourself with people who know other things, like in other departments. I work closely with my accountant, my insurance guy, my attorney. I talk with them and bounce ideas off of them, get their input. But you also do need exactly what you said. You need people who do the same work that you do. A lot of what I do is on graphic design as well. And so it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful to have someone like Christy in my corner that not only does similar work, but we come at it from two different directions.
Right.
And we have a lot of different skills that complement each other. But it's also a matter of, I'll look at something like that she does and I'll go, oh, I really like that. That I wouldn't have thought of it that way. And she'll look at my stuff and she'll go, oh, I would never thought of that.
No, but we've also hired each other as freelancers for our own businesses
Right.
at different times.
Yes.
So, because you
need
have different skills.
Similar talents, but different skills.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So, and on the break, Christy was like, "Hey, you haven't gotten to the bacon. You haven't gotten to the BACON." She's all excited. She wants to sizzle. Okay, so I want to remind us of the bacon, BACON. And for those of you who just joined in, we are talking about your salaried position versus your being self-employed, maybe wanting to take your side hustle and build it up into something, but taking a look and just asking yourself, am I really ready to make a move one way or the other? It could be that you own your own business and you're like, you know what, I'm done with this. I can't do this. I'm going to go back to a salaried position. Either way, that's what we're digging into here. And so I just want to remind you that I do have part of a 10-part series next week that we're talking about the side hustle to success. So that's worth getting into. Next week, we're going to be talking about, is it time to call it quits?
Mhm.
All right. Which is a very important one to do. We all face that on a regular basis. So the bacon today, we were talking about, these are the 5 action steps to help you decide on your direction. All right. And the B is balance. The A is assess your financial goals and stability needs. C is consider your long-term career goals. O is going to be your opportunities. Identify the opportunities for growth and development in both whether it's salaried or being self-employed. And finally, N is network. Leverage the people that you know and get that information before you make this decision. So, Christy, let's just jump into this. And you know what I'd like to also do is just touch upon it, if it makes sense, to think about how you make those considerations, how you decide, this is something I think I could make a business out of. This is something I'd like to, explore. And because there's plenty of things that I've known people going, I'm going to start a whole business doing this. And I'm like, wow, I don't know everything, but I have a gut feeling you cannot do a business doing that,
Right. And I think you've spent a lot of time talking about that in your series where
Yes.
you're really talking about the kind of turning your side hustle into a business.
Yes.
And that really is how I got started with Meg and Me Design. Was really, I was doing a side hustle.
Right.
And I said, wow, I'm spending a lot of money on supplies, on doing this. And if I'm going to make all these things, I should sell them. But I never had any intention of quitting my day job.
Right.
Because it is really tough to get to a point where you're making the income that you could make. I
Yes.
guess it depends. It really depends on what your position is. But I would say that I think that if you're making the decision to leave a corporate job to go to a self-employed, if you're
Right.
trying to make that
Yep.
call, you've already mentioned so many things about
Yeah.
like making sure that you have maybe another income source. If you are I feel like now I would never do it by myself. I would go in with someone. I would
Right.
say
Okay.
like, hey, you're a great friend and a business partner. I really could see that. Like, to me, if I could do it all again, that's how I'd want to do it, because I'd find someone that had maybe a little more interest in like the accounting part or
Right,
something
right,
like
yeah.
that. Something where
Some-
we could share our talents
Uh-huh.
and make it a good fit. And I
Right.
see
Right.
I see small business owners that have that, and I feel like that's really the way to go. I would
Yes,
feel like
yes.
but that's other people, they really, like I said, I mentioned
They
a
want complete
client friend that I
control.
have that I know, she is so passionate about how she wants to offer services to people, that the only way to do that is to do it herself. So if that's you, then that's great that
Yeah.
you're going to offer that service to people that.
Well, this is all gets into the B in balance is, first off, how much of my flexibility, how much of my personal time am I willing to devote to this? How much of my time do I go, no, I need to make a lot of money so that I can go sailing. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And you have to go, all right, you have to really think this through. The other balance is, if I partner up with someone, how much of the authority am I willing to give to
Right.
them?
No,
And
yeah.
it gets very difficult, because some people go, I started this business because I want to do this, this, and this. And you suddenly realize, well, the only way to be successful is bring in a partner like this. And then all of a sudden the partner goes, yeah, but in order to be successful, we have to do this. And you're like, well, I don't want to do that.
No,
So
I'm saying I personally
Yeah.
would love to have a partner if I was going down that road, but I don't think I think the main reason a lot of people start their own business
Yeah.
is because they want to do it their way, for
Right.
lack of a
Yeah.
fancier way of
But
saying it.
I think in the long run, you still have to just take a look at the balance of it and really try to be realistic to say, yes, I want to start my own business. I'm going to be in charge. You go, okay, good luck to you. Bravo. But now you have to say, how much of your free time are you willing to give up? There's been plenty of times in my business, I've been working on the weekends, and
Because I was going to say, because you need to be able to say, I'm going to give up 100%
Yeah,
of free
yeah,
time at the
exactly.
beginning, or
Right.
at sometimes.
right. And so
It literally is literally unknown. I
and
mean,
many of the clients that I would talk to, I could only talk to at night because
Yeah.
they were running their business during the day. So you really have to say, my balance is, in the beginning, everything is the business, nothing is life. Okay. So that's why, again, you have to find something you really love to do.
Mhm.
So the A in Bacon is assess your financial goals and your stability needs. Okay. And so what's important is, what I mean by this is, you have a lifestyle you live at, and you're going to say, I like this lifestyle. I'm willing to go down a little bit more, or my whole purpose of starting a business is I want to go up higher, right? I want to do something different. But you have to, once you balance this and say, but I don't have any free time, I'm going to be losing money in the beginning because I'm going to be pouring my money into this business as I'm trying to sustain and grow. You have to take a look at this and go, what's the most I'm willing to lose to make this happen?
Mhm.
How am I going to survive? You really have to assess the entire financial part, because it might be, I need to bring in a partner, or I need to go to a bank and immediately get a loan. I need to do something to make this happen.
Or
All
just
right.
have a stronger business plan that,
Yeah.
and I think you really addressed it in another show really well. That whole financial
Yeah.
compartment that, that I think, that's a whole nother, it's a whole large portion of
Oh,
this that
completely.
people that are not us, that are in accounting, would say, oh my gosh, you need to talk so much more about that.
Right. Well,
But-
I had a great financial show with
Yes.
A.M. Woodland. That
That's
was
what I'm talking
such a
about. Mhm,
wonderful
yeah,
show.
mhm.
And we did talk about all of those kinds of things. And it was a great show. So
Mhm.
look for that show on anywhere you listen to podcasts, Bacon Bits with Master Happiness.
Right.
Okay. So the C gets into this, is consider your long-term career goals. And this is important because a lot of people, they jump into this, I'm going to start my side business just because I was promised a whole bunch of money. Okay. And it's like going, all right, again, just like you taking a job somewhere that's promising you a high salary does not necessarily mean it's going to be as fulfilling as you would like it to be. Money, as much as you're not going to necessarily believe me, is not the answer to every one of life's problems. Sometimes what you need to do is you have to find a job, a career, a company that you can start that's going to bring you a lot of joy, that you really enjoy doing this. If you don't enjoy doing it, it will get boring very quickly. It will become mundane, monotonous, and you will want to stop doing it. And once you stop doing it, that's when your business starts falling apart. Or if you're working for someone else, you get fired. Okay. You have to make that call early on to say, I want to grow this business to which level? Okay. I
Mhm.
want it to be a good sized business. I want to eventually have 10 employees. I eventually want to have 1,000 employees. I want to go international. Figure out what your ultimate career goals are, and can this business take you to where you want to go? So that's just another thing to consider. And if you sit there going, I don't really want it to be much bigger, I want to work on my own, I just want to do this, this, and this, then that's good. That's
And you can have very different career goals if you're
Yes.
working corporate. So
Yes.
I've been now at the highest level of my business for when it was mine.
Okay.
I could give myself any title I wanted, but no, I was creative director. But now being in very corporate America, which I've worked a salaried position in several other jobs, but now I'm in very true cookie cutter corporate,
Right.
a internal marketing department. And I think you have to look at it in the positives. Like I do see, wow, okay, well, I can have, it's a very clear structure as to how I get from here to here, and
Yep.
get different titles or get different salaries or get different benefits. And you can look at it in a positive way. I mean, there's a
Sure,
lot of
sure.
times that some people would say, oh, I wanted to step away from that, but I think I sometimes have a fresh view on it because I haven't lived my whole work career in corporate America.
Gotcha.
So I'm like,
Right.
ooh, look, I have a expense report. This is exciting, you know.
Yes.
And everyone else is going, really?
Yeah.
You're excited with that? And I'm like, yes, but nobody else cared. Like I could hand this off to someone and someone else does these expenses and then they
Yeah.
pay me back for them. And someone pays me back. I mean, like,
Yeah.
when you
yeah.
work for yourself, you're not going to any conferences. You're not getting anything paid back. It's
Right.
like that, you know.
Yep,
So you
you're
have
right.
to take joy in all of the
Those are
positives
the
and you know.
those are the benefits. They're one of
Right.
the many benefits of working a salaried position.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. All right. So I want to get into these last two letters because I'm watching the time. We still have plenty of time here. And that is the O and the N. And the O is more of the opportunities. When we're looking at this, is the opportunities, the things, not only the career path and the balance of life and work, but what other opportunities do you want in life? And you mentioned sometimes when you're working for somebody and they're going to say, hey, we can send you to this conference. And maybe you're like, wow, this is really cool. I get to meet some people. I get to learn new things. And sometimes in a salaried position, that might be a little easier versus owning your own business. It might be a necessity. Okay.
Yes.
And so you look at those kinds of things. Are those the opportunities I want to do? Do I take a class because this is something I've always dreamt about and I want to get better at it? Or do I have to take this class on something in order for my business to survive?
Right.
Okay. So you take a look at all the opportunities that both sides offer you. Running your own business has its own certain types of opportunities, and working in a salaried position have opportunities. So look at those. All right. And the last one I want to get into is the N, is networking, is leveraging the people around you, all those empty spaces. And I think I want to see, Christy, you said that at one point when you were doing freelance artwork, you kind of pseudo partnered with somebody. You had another person who was a graphic designer and that you could kind of lean on a little bit.
Yes. I just kept in touch with other people who I
Yes.
had worked with so that I could. Sometimes I have a job that isn't quite my niche, but I don't want to say no to someone. I'll
Right.
say, sure, I'll take this on, but I might go and talk with someone that say, hey, this isn't really my style. I think especially when you're in a creative field, it's important to be able to say, this isn't something that's my style, or it'll take me 3 times as long as it would take you. So I would like to partner with you. And I had a few designer friends along the way that I would still stay in touch with and be able to say, hey, I have too many things right now and
Sure.
I don't want to say no. And I know you know exactly how I
Right.
feel.
Right.
Can you take on something extra? And they might do the same. And I have some relationships that are 25 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
just from business that I've
Right.
kept. So
And so I want to add to that networking because I knew you could speak from experience on that. Is so for me, as far as in graphic design, it's nice because I'm married to a great graphic designer, and so I can network with her and ask her questions and bounce ideas off. And I never have the fear of her going, "I'm stealing your client." Okay, But sometimes this is a legitimate fear when you're running your own business.
yes.
Is I don't want to bring someone else in to take this over
Yes.
because they could end up walking away with my client.
Yeah.
So there's a legitimate fear. So when you're networking, one of the other things that you really need to do, and I've talked about this at other shows, is talk to other business owners that are maybe the same size as you, that run into the same similar problems that you do. And that's why I'm part of a masterminds group
Mhm.
where it's a group of people. One person sells insurance, another person is a wealth management person, another person does home mortgages. There's a couple of people that run martial arts studio, and somebody else works in the elderly care industry. And so we all come from different areas, but our growth is the same. Some of us are growing very quickly, others are growing slower. Some of us have different goals in mind, but we discuss very similar problems. So no matter what the company is, we can share ideas. And so I always look for opportunities to go to networking groups just to talk to different people. And I've joined plenty of different groups, and I've said, yeah, this one's not for me. This one's for me. So if you are considering starting your own business, if you're working at one place and you're considering going, I think it's time for me to try it. It's an exciting whirlwind. You forget about sleep. But I would suggest that you start going to some networking businesses. Go to a local chamber of commerce, start Googling networking, business networking, etc. Talk to some business coaches just to start picking people's brains so that you can learn the things that you don't know. Because I'm going to go back to that thing I said earlier on. The worst part is that you don't even know half of the things that you don't know.
Right.
Okay. And
Yes.
those are the things that they sneak up on you.
And another really important thing that you talk about a lot is mentors. So
Yes.
in this case, find someone that you love their business. You think that they've done a really good job. They have, and you're not stealing their business or something like that,
Right.
but you just think, wow, I love that they have, even if it's somebody you don't know. I can bring an example of that. As my oldest daughter is a stylist, and I know she follows other stylists, and
Yes.
and has talked to them, local people, going like, hey, I found your account, your social account. I love it. I just, I'd love to get to know you. I'd like, I always tell her, like, it's okay to flatter people and compliment them, and like maybe try
Right.
to
Yeah.
start, just start by that and say, I love what you're doing here. And maybe you can start learning from them. Maybe you can just pick up, again, like learning to have some mentors
Right.
that, I see you're really successful. How did you get there? It's not like I'm
Yes.
trying to steal your people. There's plenty of room in the business world for similar like businesses.
Yep.
You just
You're
have to
right.
say, well, how did you get your start?
Right.
So
Yeah. So I'm going to jump on this too. Is aside from mentors, is any opportunity that you have to learn. Okay.
mhm.
Lean on mentors. Lean on business people. Read books, etc. Do as much as you can. Understand that you're going to learn a lot and continue to learn working for someone. But if you're running your own business, you've got to make learning and continued education such a paramount part of your business.
What
It's
are some books that they could get to learn about their business?
well, there's a great book called What's Your Bacon available on Amazon. It's a fantastic book. And
Wow, I
soon,
do love that
Yeah.
book. I have
And-
I have read it.
yes, and soon there'll be another book called The Legends of Sales. That's going to be a really good book. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. So we're just about out of time. Christy, I want to throw it back to you because I would like you to, again, just tell people where they can see some of your work on Meg and Me
Oh,
Design,
sure.
where they find you, the different things you do on social media, etc. So please take it away.
Yes. Well, megandme.com is my website for full service marketing and graphic design. I
And it's
specialize
spelled out completely, MEGAND.
in me.com,
All right.
megandme.com.
Perfect.
Yes. I specialize right now in medical marketing, but have experience in all areas of brand development and marketing for any kind of business. I also crochet on the side.
Nice,
So
nice.
you'll find on that website somewhere a little hidden portal, but Meg and Me Crochet is on Instagram, and you can find us at the Wakanda Farmers Market.
Fantastic.
So,
Yes. So
side hustles
so we
also are there. Even if you got
Exactly.
a small business, a side hustle, and a salary job, just do
That's-
it all. you know.
That's it. All right. Thank you so very much, Christy. Let me see if you'll let me buy you a drink after the show. Okay. Thank you very much for tuning into this. If you've missed any part of it, later this week, the entire show will be on Bacon Bits with Master Happiness, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Tune in definitely next week, Monday. We're going to kind of continue this conversation with Tiffany and Joe Janicki. We're going to be talking about when it's time to quit. All right. I'm really excited about this. This has been such a fun show, and
Well,
look forward to listening
Thank
to the
you for
podcast.
having me.
Definitely. All right. And with that, I'm going to say ta-ta for now.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.